The moment I saw a shy little predator that people thought was extinct, I instantly got hooked. Today we're diving into a story that blends mystery, forests, and a reminder that nature isn't done surprising us. Picture this, a small carnivore, about the size of a ferret, living deep in the remote forests of Northern California, suddenly popping back into the spotlight after decades of silence. That's the coastal marten, a creature many scientists once believed to be gone for good. And yes, there's a twist: science, indigenous stewardship, and climate-charged forests all tangled together in this comeback tale. Let's start with the core vibe here: persistence. The coastal marten survived the century's worst combination of habitat loss and trapping, thriving in pockets where old-growth complexity still lingered. What makes this really interesting is how the recent OSU study reframes what we know about where martens live and how many there might be. The baseline fact is blunt: the species is hard to pin down. Remote cameras and hair snares across 150 square miles yielded 46 individual martens. That's not a big number, but it's powerful evidence that life persists where the right conditions exist. From my perspective, the broader implication is that forest structure matters more than we often admit. Coastal martens flourish on two distinct terrains: high ridges with winter snow and lower, coastal ravines with dense cover. In other words, they're specialists in a landscape that still preserves a certain blend of moisture, canopy, and snow reliability. If you take a step back and think about it, this isn't just about martens. It's a case study in how landscape heterogeneity in a changing climate acts like a lifeboat for species that depend on specific habitat features. One thing that immediately stands out is the role of old-growth forests. The researchers, including Sean Matthews, emphasize that martens favor forests with old-growth characteristics. Those forests are precisely the same ecosystems most threatened by climate-driven wildfires and certain forestry practices. This raises a deeper question: are we protecting the right pockets of habitat, or are we unintentionally nibbling around the edges of a fragile refuge? In my opinion, we need to rethink forest management to prioritize resilience, not just timber yield. Why does this matter now? Because climate change is rewriting risk maps for many species. More frequent and severe wildfires don't just scorch trees, they erode the very structures that creatures like the coastal marten rely on: complex canopies, snags for denning, and stable snow cover that shapes their hunting and movement. The study hints at what we don't know yet: how many martens are out there, which specific forest types they're using most, and whether some populations are quietly increasing while others are shrinking. That unknowns lens is crucial because it reframes conservation from a single species banner to a landscape-scale puzzle. Here's a practical takeaway: conservation isn't just about protecting a single animal, it's about protecting a network of habitats that sustain them. Indigenous groups, notably the Yurok tribe, have been restoring habitats and caring for land long before researchers appeared with their notebooks. What this really suggests is that traditional ecological knowledge and modern science aren't opponents but allies. If we combine tribal stewardship with targeted fieldwork, we stand a better chance at mapping where martens still roam and where to bolster forests against climate stress. Now, the media narrative often leans toward the miracle rediscovery angle, but I want to push a different lens. This is less about a miraculous comeback and more about a reminder: there are still wild neighborhoods unscanned by our cameras and uncounted by our surveys. The coastal marten is a symbol of resilience, yes, but also of the limits of our knowledge. The more we learn about their distribution and density, the better we can tailor forest protection to the needs of species that ride the line between snowpack and timberland. From a big-picture view, the marten story connects to a broader trend: biodiversity persistence is increasingly tied to the health of old, complex forest systems. When those systems are intact, they act like a sanctuary network that lets many species survive climate volatility. The antidote to extinction risk isn't a single miracle event, it's preserving the engines of ecosystems: structured forests, diverse microhabitats, and corridors that let animals move as climates shift. To wrap this up, a few open questions I'm taking with me: how can we accelerate honest population monitoring without disturbing the martens? Which forest management practices most effectively protect their old-growth characteristics while still supporting local communities that rely on forests economically? And how can indigenous-led stewardship be scaled up as a mainstream conservation model? These aren't easy questions, but the path forward seems brighter if we treat the coastal marten not as a curiosity, but as a guide to resilient forest futures. So, what do you think about how we balance forest use with species protection? Do you see a future where traditional knowledge and cutting-edge science lead the way in conservation strategies? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and tell me which part of the coastal forest puzzle you want us to chase next. If you enjoyed this kind of breakdown, consider subscribing for more creator-style dives into wild biology, climate stakes, and the human stories that shape conservation.